Do you know how powerful you are? Welcome to the RisePreneurs podcast.
Welcome to RisePreneurs.
Reshaping and elevating your mindset to help you achieve what you believe.
Sometimes we don't even see our own greatness. You can't be what you can't see.
And connecting Black cultures to build a community of talent and success.
Black people need to realize that they are assets. You are an asset.
When we rise, you rise.
Come together as a group.
This is RisePreneurs with Terrell Simmons.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of RisePreneurs. In this episode, we get to talk to Brett Paul Izu. What can I say about Brett? I've really enjoyed my conversation with him because me and him share a special connection in the reference that we grew up in two very different cultures, right? He had two cultures, just like I had alluded that I grew up in, partially American culture and Nigerian culture. He has the same with growing up in African, Nigerian culture and Jamaican culture, and having those two worlds. And then also living in the UK, how, sometimes those worlds did not, work hand in hand. Sometimes they would collide, or as he would say nowadays, it wasn't as cool to be so grounded in your African or Nigerian culture at that time. But he's an outstanding gentleman. Loved his story, which you'll get to hear in a little bit. His journey as a founder and CEO of YamUp. YamUp is a company that was kind of like the first African and Caribbean grocery shopping app to kind of help close the technological gap between culture, traditions, and then our community. So if you can just kind of imagine the market on your phone, and it was a great audacious goal to get kind of connected, save time, but still enjoy all the traditions that we hold dear. So his journey through that and other entrepreneurial journeys, how he met Shola, all that good stuff we talked about in this episode, and some really good valuable life lessons along the way. So without further ado, hope you enjoy this episode, and here is Brett Paul Izu, ladies and gentlemen. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of RisePreneurs. We got a special guest in the building today, Brett. Brett, I don't want to mess up the last name. Give the folks the last name. How do we say the last name?
Izu.
All right.
Izu.
So thank you for joining us this afternoon, this early morning over here in San Diego. Where you at these days?
I'm in Manchester, which is up north.
Manchester.
Up
north. So give me the backstory. How does a Nigerian brother get out into Manchester?
Well, how did I get up here? So I've been a bit of a traveler because I've been living in different cities, to be honest with you. So my mum's not originally from Derby, but she moved to Derby. And she met my dad, who's Nigerian. My mum's Jamaican, by the way.
Okay. Big up to all the Jamaicans out there. Big up.
Yeah, big up to all the Jamaicans and the rest of the Caribbean islands. So my dad at the time moved down with my nana and everything into Derbyshire, not Derby City. So that's the countrysides and everything. But they only lived down there for a while. But he met my mum and everything. But they got it cracking, and my dad decided to disperse off, and they moved to London. And he just went his own way and didn't think he would ever see my mum. But in them days, back in the days, there used to be a book that you could look and see somebody's surname, and by the surname, they'll have somebody's phone number. Yeah. So my mum
really?
The phone book. They had a phone book, and they had everybody's name in it and everybody's contact detail, home telephone number. My mum looked, and she remembered his surname. Looked at the surname, and there was two surnames at the time because my granddad and my nana wasn't together. And she just picked one of them and then found the address and went straight to London because that's where they would move back to. They moved to London.
Right.
And then I met my family in London. So from then, I've always been going back to London. Yeah. My family did want me, my Izu family did want me to move there, but for me, it's too expensive, London is. Way too expensive. Yeah. North is more cheap. Right. So for me, I wanted to move out of Derby, but I didn't want to move there. So I moved to Nottingham, and eventually I moved to Manchester, which is the second best city to live right now in the UK.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice,
So that's
nice.
where I'm at right now.
I love it, love it, love it. Thank you for telling me that backstory. Now, me and you got introduced to Shola. Shola's just amazing. Like, I know she's doing big things over here in the U.S. with startup businesses and so forth. How did you and Shola meet? Just out of curiosity, give me that backstory.
Yeah, so basically, at the time I was working for a company called Elevation Networks, and basically what that company was, it was a startup for people who want to start their own business. And what we do, we give them advice as well as helping with their business plan, as well as give them a loan. And it was government backed. Yeah, so if anything goes wrong with their business, we'll back and we'll help them. Yeah, so my role was basically to go out into different cities and speak to different people and get contacts and see who wants to either get involved, or somebody like Shola who was helping people business, we can help her supply people loans. And I done an event at that time, but my auntie introduced me to her. Yeah, my auntie introduced me to her and said there might be somebody that you could hook up with. So I told her to come down to my event, and she liked it. She liked how I was as a person, and we hooked up from then, and we stayed in contact. And I helped her get some business, and she helped me get some business. So yeah, it's good from then. And out of work, personally, me and Shola really got on. She really got on. She's a nice person. She chats a lot, but she's a nice person.
She does. Every time we have business, I'm like trying to figure out how do I cut her short because we need to get on to the next thing. Look, she chats so well. I had to make her co-host of the podcast because
Yeah. She does these things like I'll be going somewhere with her, right, and she'll be talking, and then somehow she slips me into the conversation and gets me a job. I'm like, oh, whoa, I don't even know what I'm doing here. Like, well, what's going on? Oh, you're involved in this now. You're the director. Director, what are you talking about?
You gotta let her go. She gets business done, but I was like, hold on, my plate is full already. Let me figure out some things first. Now, something that we were talking about before we even hit the record button, I love the fact that, man, you got Jamaican and Nigerian. Those are two different cultures. Man, dinner must have been amazing at your house. You had everything from curry goat to stew.
I mean, that's the best part of looking at it. But then, but on the flip side to it, there was this part where I felt like I didn't know who I was because the two culture clashes. So, because at that time, I mean, nowadays everybody's cool with each other. We got this understanding going on. But at that time, there was no understanding. It's like, I had to really tame it down of being Nigerian. I was proud to be Nigerian.
Yeah.
But I had to tame it down because, thanks to boys in the hood, when, the little kids say you're African booty scratcher, they use that phrase a lot on me. And, I had to keep my head up. It hurt me.
All right. So one thing I really loved is that, like, you grew up in two different households, kind of per se. Well, not two different households, but you got that Nigerian influence, you got the Jamaican influence. Yeah, two different cultures. How was that growing up?
Well, I mean, like I said, look, now it's okay, me, because we've got a understanding. But when I was a teenager, there was definitely a big ignorance. I would say ignorance, because what would happen is when I'm with my friends, the majority of my friends, if not, I would say the UK, was heavily influenced by Caribbean and I would say Jamaican. Yeah. And
really?
Yeah, Jamaican. There's a lot more Africans and Nigerians now in the UK, but before, actually, say it again. No, there probably was a lot of Africans, but they tamed it down because of, it's because of, at that time, we didn't want to big it up. It wasn't in fashion. It wasn't in fashion to be African or Nigerian. It wasn't in fashion. Caribbean, overall, talking, walking, making music like Caribbean, it was the in thing. So I had to tame it down. So, me getting called African booty scratcher and all the stuff like that, I had to take that. I would say it was a horrible time for me, but at the same time, I didn't lose who I was. You know what I mean? I didn't lose who I was. And that was because at the time, I was living in a small city in Derby. But when I would when I would go and see my nana and my dad and everybody in London, it's a whole different ball game, because in London, just that city alone, there's a lot more Africans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a different game. Yeah, so I was always in the middle with everything. And there's certain things I would say, even down to the clothing. Yeah, back then I would not put African clothing on at all. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. It's like you knew what was going to come if you even wore that. You know what I mean? So
right. Like I feel you on all of that because as me growing up in the U.S. as like my dad, like I told you before, it was like my dad was Nigerian, my stepdad, and that's my father. I didn't know my biological dad, so I was raised in Nigerian culture. Even the hood I grew up in, actually, it's funny hearing you talk because the hood that I grew up in there was Nigerians over here, Jamaicans over here, Trinidadians, and other Black Islanders, and we all grew up in the same hood. But the blacks looked at us like the rejects, like they call us African booty scratcher. Oh, get out of here! Depending on what culture I was associated with, right?
Yeah.
So whenever I have my Niger gear on, that's when they know. You look at this guy. Kunta. Every negative thing in the book, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't get popular until I got older. I'm like, oh, now this is the wave. Now Niger culture is it. Now all the music that they bumping and dancing to, Afrobeat.
They know more than me. They're really in tune with it. Like you're telling me about it. I was like, bro, I knew all this for a long time. Why are you telling me this for? Like you should be proud to be African. Like, what are you talking about? I mean,
so I definitely agree with you. Another thing that we get from our culture, I don't know if you got this for your culture, but me growing up in the culture, I always got that. My friend, you're going to go to school, you're going to study your books, and you're going to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. It was like the set, like what my parents thought what success was that they guided me down to. Did you get that?
Well, mine was slightly different because remember, my dad wasn't around. Yeah, my dad's done his own thing. So I would say I got brought more of a Caribbean way than any other way.
Gotcha.
But then remember, the 6 weeks holiday, I will still go down to see my family and stay down there for 6 weeks after finish school. So their approach was a bit different to me because they knew they couldn't really force things on me because they're not around me as much. But what they did, they demonstrated what success was. And so I'll break it down. So with my, at the time when I was young, my nana owned 2 shops. One shop was one shop was basically selling materials in East London, and then the other one was actually making clothes for people, and that was what my nana did. And my nana had my auntie and my uncle in the back just selling clothes, sewing clothes from the age of 11. Now,
so you got a long history of entrepreneurs in your family.
Now, the reason why I'm saying my auntie and uncle, because my auntie, who then became adult, she then started making clothes on her own for Versace, Moschino, all these big. Wow. And then also independently, she would make clothes for Madonna, Janet Jackson, and stuff like that. So I seen success. I knew what success was and what to do to get there. You got what I'm saying? And then Hannah closed them 2 shops down, and she then worked directly for Donna Karen. So I used to go and see my nana, see what was going on and everything else. So they didn't force it on me, but they demonstrated what success was.
Well, that's interesting. So being that you had all those influences around, like, how did that influence what you decided to do with your career once you finish your formal schooling years?
That's going in a different question. So school wasn't for me. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't for me. I only learned to read when I started to learn to read at 19 years old. All through school, all school year. I just couldn't grasp it. I just couldn't get it at that time. Mm-hmm. But one thing what saved me was I was a dancer. I'm a street dancer. And I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet, but I was really good at it. And it got me to a good level. And I think that's what saved me. If I didn't have that, I would have no confidence. But it's because I didn't have the whole reading and writing and everything else. Yeah. But then I had confidence somewhere else to say, look what I've got, and I'm good at it. Now, leaving school, I did that for a bit, but I just dropped out. And I just focused on finding myself and who I was. At the start, what I had to do is then learn to read, learn to write and stuff like that. And then I read so much books about being successful and what's passion and, stuff like that. So I was buying things like Anthony Robbins. I would spend £250 on Anthony Robbins audiobooks just to understand.
Oh man, he's amazing too.
Yeah, he's on a whole different level. So I invested in myself heavily, but it's almost like I forgot that this being successful has already been taught to me because my nana and my auntie. But it's almost like I forgot. So I was getting off all this information, and I just went on a journey of learning how to do direct selling, stuff like that. And then it's almost like I just clicked. I thought,
And I look at it as like you were self-taught and you went on this journey to find self, to find your passion, purpose, and use that as a fuel to kind of create your version of success, which is definitely working for you.
Yep.
And I love all that. And although you don't have the formal, or you didn't go the formal route of education, which I feel is even overrated at times because it doesn't teach you to, be successful in life, right? It only teaches you to be successful as simulating to a system and being part of the herd, right? Yeah. So I love that you went this route. So tell me a little bit about the industry you're in. How would you kind of define your career? Like what industry would you put yourself in and when you define your career?
So basically me and my girlfriend decided to create an app, on-demand delivery app called YamUp. Yep. And basically it was based on, instead of people going to their shopping, we'll do their shopping for them. Yeah. We managed to get the money and create the app and get it popping. So I would say we're in the food business. Yeah. We're in the food business. Yeah. Because we're delivering the food itself. Now,
gotcha.
Now I'll stop there because I was in the food business. Because what happened is we was getting to the place that we was getting to the contact that we need, the connections that we need, and everything else. But I went flat. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. It just didn't work. And I spent money on it. We spent thousands on it. Sorry, and it just didn't go where we need to go. And through the industry, I would say I'm in, I'm just a natural born hustler, bro.
Yeah.
So what that means to me is that I'm not trying to define myself as I don't want to put myself in any industry. What I would say is that I just bounce off in the street what works. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because what's then happened is I was in a situation where I was still working at the time and I just wanted to make something work. And I was, at the moment, I'm doing delivery business. I'm doing delivery business now. And I work for DPD, which is similar to FedEx. Yeah, it's similar to FedEx. And I was doing the daily collections and I bumped into an Asian guy who basically supplies all the beauty salons around the Manchester area. Yeah, and he had a warehouse full of stuff. And I said to him, would I be able to buy some of that stock and resell it? And he goes, yeah, of course you could. You have to buy a certain amount. And I thought, all right, cool. Because, I had money just hanging around and I just wanted to spend that money. I didn't want to keep it there. So basically what happened is I brought some stuff and I decided to just go to the barbers and say, oh, these are the boxes that I've got. Do you need anything? And he goes, yes. And bear in mind, I had 3 or 4 boxes and each box had about 12 cans of olive oil in it. And I sold the boxes within less than an hour. So from that, I thought to myself, actually, I might have something here that I could do. So what I did is I sat down and I went on Facebook and on the internet, see if I could search for a supplier for hair products that barbers need. And I managed to find somebody because my girlfriend at the time said, go onto Facebook Marketplace and see if you can find somebody there. And I managed to find somebody and I linked up with him. And he goes, look, this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to give you all the stuff that will sell. Yeah. And all you got to spend with me. No, he asked me how much I wanted. And I go, how much I've got? And I go, look, I've got 160 quid. And what can I get for that? He goes, all right, this is the stuff I'm going to give you. And I want to give you this. This is worth. And this is how much I'm going to get back. So he was more or less my mentor because he was helping me.
Yeah.
4 months later, I got 4 grand's worth of stuff. 4 months later.
Wow.
4 months later.
So that's important right there. Having a mentor, because that's something I always tell people, like, if you can get a mentor, how would you say what would you say to those who are looking to kind of do some of the things or took the steps you took in your business and careers, the many careers that you've had, businesses and so forth? How important is it to have a mentor? And what were the steps you would say to take to kind of build a business or start a business?
Well, oh God, that's a lot of questions. All right, so let's start with let's start with the mentor, right? And I will start with my personal mentor that I had. And at the time before I had my mentor, I remember I was watching Law of Attraction. Yeah, and I only, when Law of Attraction
I love Law of Attraction. You're speaking my language right now.
Yeah, like when it first came out, it was like it was something spooky to me. I was thinking, I've never heard of this one. But then what I did, I started learning the practices of it. Yeah, and I mixed it with a bit of Anthony Robbins as well. So my thing was, at the time, I needed a mentor, which was more like a father figure to me, to demonstrate what being a man was and how a man should live on this earth. Yeah. So I was asking. I wake up every day and I will ask. Yeah. I need a mentor. Yeah. And eventually what happens is somehow you'll find that person. But when you find that person, you didn't even know at that time it would be your mentor. You just be talking to that person. Right. So what happened is, when I was trying to find myself, I thought I'd do radio because I love music that much. So somebody linked up with a guy who does radio, yeah? And I spoke to them, and I want to do radio, this, that, and the other. He goes, all right, cool, come at this time. So I came at this time, sat down with me. And he just looked at me and goes, I don't think you're here for this. I goes, what am I here for? He goes, you want me to help you. And I was like, whoa. I was like, okay. He goes, you want me to help you get to where you need to get to. I was like, wow. 4 years later, I became who I am because of him. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this story is because the first steps that you need to do to find a mentor that you want, you need to know what you want first and what you want out of it. Because you can ask all you want to, but if you keep asking, you're going to put yourself in different situations, because you could ask, and then you find this mentor is not giving you what you need because you wasn't clear of what you was asking for. Yeah, you wasn't clear. So the very first step I would take to getting that mentor that you want is be clear like what you're going to ask. And then once you know what you want, you then walk in that direction and you'll find that mentor. That's what I would say.
I love that. I love that. Now, what would mentor help you with that first step, clarifying what you want, your vision and so forth? Now, what would you say the next steps that took you into your career of helping you understand what it takes to build a successful business?
Oh, with that mentor or just understanding myself? Is that the question?
Understanding yourself. Yeah. With some lessons that you learned and steps that you learned along the way.
Understanding that sometimes you think that you know, is like you go out and go, I think my customer knows this. And I think your customer knows that. And I'm going to be honest with you, when you go out there, it's not that. It's like you go there and go, I know what everybody wants. And then eventually you find out that you actually don't know nothing. So what you got to be open. It's more or less that I think my mum turned around and said to me, you have to be like a blank canvas. Yeah. And on this blank canvas, you kind of paint everything and you become that picture. So you got to be open for this new information. You got to be open for it. Don't be closed. If you close, then you might as well just stop from now. You got to be open and go and say, all right, then let me take on this information. Yeah. And let me just refine it and then go back again. That's what I would say. Always be open.
Yeah.
Always be open. And just always be willing to get up, because there's going to be a lot of knockdowns.
Yeah.
To get up. And you got to get up quick as well. You have to get up quick. None of this, I'm in pain. Nah, get up quick and be ready. That's what I would say.
Yeah. I love all that, because I think a lot of times when people are starting a business, they do the customer service phase and they figure that I know everything the customer needs, and they're not open to receiving information and that feedback loop that allows them to improve their product or services.
Yeah.
And you have to be open. So I love that. Just out of curiosity. So I'm going to go back to a conversation we had earlier before we started.
Yep.
Like I told you, I often go out to the schools, the high schools, and talk to students and so forth. And I also out here, I do little programs where I help, young people get jobs, their first job or internship. So they get that experience, right? And I tell them always to pay attention in that job, because there's a lot of things they can learn in that job that will help them be successful later on in their future if they get the lesson.
100%.
So my question to you is, what was your first job And what's some things that you learned from that first job that you had that you still kind of carry with you today?
Well, it wasn't my first. My first job was laboring, but I don't think I've learned anything from that. But I tell you where I did learn skills was when I went to be a door-to-door salesman, and it was commission based. It was commission based, and it was at that time. This is when I was learning to be confident, with myself.
Yeah.
At that time, I didn't have no confidence, and it's in sales. To be able to sell a product, you got to be confident. You got to be confident to be able to sell it. So how do you be confident about the product? You then have to find the relevant information to then say, actually, I know this. So I had to sat back and go, oh, okay. So when I look at it, being confident with myself, I've got to find this information to be able to boost myself, because clearly, if I'm not confident, there's a lot of information what's missing. My head. That's the way I've looked at it. So what I did is I read so much books on just life and just, you know what I mean? Just how to get it and understanding of what passion is and where does passion come from. You know what I mean? And so how I do my business is pretty much how I do my life. And it's a classic.
Wow. Like, what would you say one good lesson life has taught you? Because I feel like your knowledge of self and self-mastery and everything that you learn from Tony Robbins and the mentor, but like life has probably taught you a lot of lessons. What's one good lesson life has taught you?
It goes back to what I was saying before, that you always want to get knockdowns. You always want to get knockdowns. And you just got to get up straight away. You always want to get knockdowns. And it doesn't matter about business. It's life, business, whatever. You always want to get knockdowns. You always want to talk. People are always going to say no to you. Yeah. But it all depends on what you say to yourself and how fast you get. That's what's got me on here. So I'm almost, when I speak to people, they can almost say that and I agree with them, you're arrogant. But then, in a way, I have to be arrogant to be able to be successful. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? There's so much people, there's so much negative in the air, that I need to protect myself. You know what I mean? I've got to protect my life. And sometimes I gear myself a lot. I know something's going to come. But when it's come, right, when it comes, I know that, soak it in, get back up again. You know what I mean? We don't cry in this. We go again. And we go again until we get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you got to have a level of confidence and arrogance, because you hear no so much. People will doubt your ideas so much. Or people even have the audacity when you do become successful, like, oh, he's an overnight success. Like, you didn't work this hard for this long.
I'll tell you a story, right? So basically, when I started getting into my reading and stuff like that, my mentor said to me, what I want you to do, I want you to start listening to BBC 5 Live. Now, BBC 5 Live is basically, there's no music in this radio. All they do is talk. All they do is talk about different information. And I asked him, why is it that you want me to listen to this? And he goes, it's because what will happen is the way you talk will change. And I was like, what are you talking about? I go, well, you listen to hip hop, don't you? And most of your language that you say comes from hip hop. So change it. So I did that. Now, bearing in mind, when I went to school, I only went from one lesson and I had to go home because I was really bad at school, right? So I was the great at talking and using big words and stuff like that and know how to be around different types of people. I wouldn't say that. I was short with different words. So when I learned that, and then after I'm starting to speak differently now, I've had people come up to me and say, you gone college, you gone university. I can tell the way you speak so clear. And I was like, only if you knew my life. only if you knew. Like, it's weird to me. It's just weird. Like, they go, oh, you've definitely gone to university. I was like, no, I haven't been to university. It's self-taught, right? It's like, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. People never understand. It's just like, people don't understand about that you can change. And especially nowadays, like, some people don't believe in that you can change and you can reshape your show, the way you look, the way you talk and everything.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
you could totally just rebrand yourself, remarket yourself. Like, look at how many times Puffy, P. Diddy
Exactly.
rebranded himself.
Yeah, 100%, bro. 100%. Like, it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
So what's some advice you would give to someone who would like to start a career or business like Yams or get into entrepreneurship? What's some advice you would give to somebody?
Starting a business.
Right.
What we was talking before, I think we was talking before you started recording. It's passion. It's saying that because so many people have got business ideas. I speak to lots of people, especially now. People want to be more entrepreneur now than ever before. Yeah, because they're understanding about the system. Yeah, so I would say you need to find who you are and what's your passion before you go in any direction of doing business. Because the mistake that I had was I was following money before, and I was like, "Oh, this makes money," and I'll go into that. Yeah, and I would never last long in it. Yeah, I would stay for a little bit, and then I'll go on to the next one. But then, if you find who you are, yeah, you then find your passion. When you find your passion, then you'll find what business you want to go in. And if you've been in a business that you're passionate about, when the tough times come, you will stay in it. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that goes right along with what I always say when I give these talks to the young people. I was like I alluded before we started recording, do what you love what you do. Don't chase the money, let the money chase you.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is when you're doing something that you love and you do it with a passion and a bravado,
it just comes easy.
It just comes easy, and people will gladly pay you top dollar for that thing that you do. And you can outlast recessions because people are willing to pay for that thing that you do, even in a recession, because it brings them value. Whether you're great at organizing, like my sister who loves organizing things, if you're great at solving problems, creative with innovative solutions,
100%.
You make Picassos, whatever it is, people will still want that thing even in a recession because it brings them joy, it brings them value, it brings them something that other people can't bring.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I'll say. And I learned that also through my sales as well, because every 3 months, right, they would always change a charity. Because I was selling charities at the time. There was charities that they'll change every 3 months. And there were certain charities that I was passionate about. And there were certain charities that I was not passionate about. Yeah. So my sales would go up and down, up and down, up and down. So I learned that whatever I do, I've got to be passionate about. So I'll always be 100% on it, regardless of what comes in my way. You know what I mean? I know I'll be 100% on it. And, through my dancing, everybody knows that I'm a good dancer. Because why? Because I love my dancing at that time. I loved it. So then you can, from the person looking at it, they can see that there's love in that. They can see that there's no fakeness. So, you carry on. Yeah, you were saying?
No, I was going to say they probably saw the love and they probably wanted that energy around them as well, too. Whether it's a choreographer or another dancer. Yeah. So it carries with you. Yeah. Yes, I agree.
100%. So that's the advice I would give, definitely.
Yeah. So what do you think the future has in store for, the next generation of Black and African entrepreneurs?
That is a good question. Because, it's funny you could say that because I was just I was chatting just yesterday to my girlfriend about, the Black community, because sometimes I feel like the Black communities are doing well in terms of working together, and then sometimes I see video like, fuck, we got a long way to go. We got a long way to go. But no, I'm positive that we're gonna get somewhere. Sorry, what was the question again? Because I think I'm going in a different direction. What's the question again?
Yeah, we'll go wherever it goes. So what do you think the future has? What do you think the future has in store for Black and African entrepreneurs?
Oh, yeah, that's it. Where do I see it going? I see it going far. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there's a level playing field now. There's a level playing field. And let's take, for example, natural hair products, right? That birthed out of what? For what reason? It's because we was buying products that doesn't really represent us. And the people who are buying it, don't respect us. So it birthed out of, all right, cool, let's do our own. And look, now it's birthing without any cap of anybody trying to stop us and everything else. And that just shows you that actually we can be an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Without anybody blocking us, we can influence. I mean, another example is this. The UK hip-hop scene, for a very long time, Nobody didn't want to hear us because of our accent, because of this, because of that, right? And look at now. The UK scene is blowing up. I mean, we get the same amount of number as the US. And that just shows about, like big numbers. So it just shows you that, we're in a good place. And I feel like it's going to go to a place that we're not even going to be able to describe.
Yeah, I'm even getting put on to it over here in the US. A friend of mine sent me a video with, I think his name is Dave. He did this song called Black live at the Brit Award.
Yeah.
Oh man, that song was on point.
That song's big.
And then Wretch 32. Man.
Yeah. See, there's a big boy artists, and it just shows you that we can do it too. And when there's a level playing field, once we go, it's go time for us. We're flying.
Absolutely. Some other artists I should be looking out for.
Tion Wayne. Yeah. Who else?
Okay.
God, now you put me on blast now because I've been listening to him. And, now it's like a blank. I've just got a blank thing.
Don't worry. I'll start with Tion Wayne. I just need to know who.
I should know. No, I should know, but it's embarrassing. I should know, but
we'll say you just shoot me a text and I'll tell everybody you gave me a whole bunch.
Millions is a good artist. Millions is a good artist.
Millions? Okay.
Millions is a good artist.
Yeah.
I'll have to shoot you a text because on top of my head, it's just gone blank, but I actually know the UKC. But yeah, definitely.
Like, just out of curiosity, I know this like we going around. Is the Afrobeat scene really blowing up over there?
Oh yeah, no, it's been blowing up for a long time.
Okay.
But for the past, I would say, about 20 years, there's a lot more African people that are really trying to. They're showing out now. You know what I mean? Like, with this now. But you can see it and feel that through the music. You know what I mean? Through the music. So it's been blowing up over there. And I mean, I think they've got in London their own radio station. So it's
really?
It's big time. I don't listen to it myself because I'm a big hip hop fan, but it's big things. It's big things. Definitely.
Yeah. Because I see it starting to blow up over here. And I knew about it just because of my influences growing up in the culture.
Yeah.
But now to see it like some people and a few people in the mainstream take on to, I'm like, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah. Because it's because that there's a lot of Nigerians in England. So,
but I do love what's going on with the UK hip hop scene though, because I feel like that's the hip hop I grew up on, like from the 90s when we had like, people like Wu-Tang, Outkast, and all that, and the messages they were sending. I feel like the UK rappers are doing that.
Yeah, man. I mean, to be honest, the UK rappers have always been doing that. It's just because it was because the record labels ignored us at that time. They was like, nah, there's no money in this. And every time a record label would give us a chance, what they would do, they would Americanize it. So it would have us on the bikes or Americans. The video it would have American cars in there. It's like, but that does not represent us. We don't drive. We drive European cars. It doesn't represent us. Mm-hmm. So when this whole YouTube came about, now bear in mind we did our own videos, but it was on a budget level, right? But YouTube set it straight. All right, let's start from the beginning again. Yeah, because I tell you what really changed the scene was the Chicago rapper. What's his name? The first one what blew up. What's his name? Chicago rapper.
Chance the Rapper?
Chief Keef, right?
Oh, Chief Keef.
Yeah, Chief Keef, right? So when he done that first video, Don't Like, that was so budget, real, but it blew up. So from that time, it was like, okay, we're going to make our own videos. We're going to make our own videos with our own little camera. We don't care how cheap it looks. We're just going to do that. Uh-huh. And that's when it started to level up, because that's when we're showing our own culture, the way we talk, the way we dress, how it is in the UK, and that's how it started to blow. So now you've got American people like yourself looking at it and go, actually, they're kicking over there. You know what I mean? And it's got, and also it's got that heavily Caribbean influence in terms of the way we rap and the way we do the music. So we're doing our thing. We're doing our thing, definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. So what projects, because me and you, I'm sure we could talk for hours, but I don't want to do a Shola interview here.
You definitely won't do that. She got too much information, boy.
I want the interview to stay car line drive wide so people pay attention to and listen. So what projects are you currently working on and where can people find you?
All right, so basically what I'm doing, I mean, I haven't got nothing on the internet because I just go into the barbers and I'm sell stuff. So I'm still doing that. But at the moment, we're in the lockdown, tier 5. So that means no go into anywhere with the state.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Tier 5. And please don't ask me what tier 5 is because I still don't know and I still don't understand.
Look, don't worry. We over in the lockdown here too. I don't know how long it's going to last.
There's all that.
But,
it's all that. So, but then my girlfriend, on the other hand, she's got her own business because you can see in the back there's all boxes. Yeah, at the back.
There.
That's all. It's her hair stuff. So what she does boxes.
Uh-huh.
She does the boxes that she packs together and does it for a reasonable price. So she's just setting that up now. So we're investing in that. So basically, I'm here, there, and everywhere at the moment. I'm investing in this and I'm investing in that. If one stops, and I'm investing in this. So that's where I'm at.
Nice. So definitely, once you get some online presence, definitely shoot us the link. Definitely want people to be able to get in touch with you. If we need those boxes.
Boxes, that. Yeah. I mean, what?
All right.
Before you end the show, I just want to say to everybody is that, I know people turn around and say, don't give up, but there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. But that only works when you keep on going in that direction. Because the minute you stop, that's the end off. The world stops when you stop. The world carries on when you carry on. It's as simple as that. And if you have that attitude, you'll always go far. And you can use that not just to being an entrepreneur, but just in your life in general. Just in your life in general. Just keep on pushing and always willing to change and go different directions. But you're still going in that direction that you want to go. That's my motto.
Brett, I love that. Like, the world only stops if you stop. So make sure you keep carrying on. Man, that's something that I always try to say too and be mindful of. Like, anytime you're going through anything, make sure you're going through it, not staying stuck in it. So I love that. Brett, man, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and meet you. Big ups to everything that you're doing. And I hope that we get to connect again because this has been fun. Make sure that you guys tap into this episode. Hopefully by the time it drops, I'll get Brett on some type of social media or email or something.
Yeah, I will. After this, I'll get everything down. I'll send everything to you. Yeah.
All right. So this has been another episode of RisePreneurs. Make sure you check out some more of our content and check us out on social media. And we got the blog coming soon. Hopefully we'll do a good write-up piece with inspiring words from Brett and then some things about his girl's business that she's doing. Maybe we gotta get her on one of these days too.
Get her. She would love that, boy. She's good. She's talking to me as well, man. She'll keep that conversation. Not as well as Shola, but yeah, she's good.
Yeah. Okay, all right. All right, RisePreneurs, another episode, Brett. Izu, right? Did I say it right?
Yeah, Izu.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the other side.
Nice one. Thank you, brother.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the RisePreneurs podcast.
Thank you for taking the journey.
Be sure to like, comment, and smash that subscribe button. And stay connected with Terrell on and off the show. Follow at RisePreneurs on all platforms.
Do what you love what you do. Don't chase the money. Let the money chase you.